Welcome back. We are still continuing with the subject on the laws pertaining to land acquisition or land purchase in the county. Of course, as we had promised, that is the discussion that we're going to have today. And on set, I have Wakili Wilfred Konosi to help us get into this particular discussion. And Wakili, you are explaining something to do with the importance of this particular subject or this particular topic that is on land purchase and land acquisition in relation to the laws pertaining to it.
Yeah, as I was saying, land is very emotive, and of course everybody's aspiration is to own a parcel of land where you can build your house, you can build rental houses, do business. So it's very important that you understand the process of acquiring land, so that you get a clear title. You've seen instances where houses have been demolished because they are either they have been constructed on public land, on roads. So it's quite important that you do due diligence before you make a purchase of a parcel of land. Yeah.
So, and by the way, as you've talked about that, do you really think the lack of due diligence has actually been the main missing link? Because as actually you've rightly put it, it is something that we've been seeing, and it's actually taken very long. Maybe some people would have thought maybe the stringent measures that have been put into place, the laws that maybe are very clear pertaining to land acquisition and land purchase would have settled it. But even as we continue year after year, we still see this problem recurring.
The problem we have with due diligence is that people interfere with records. You might go to land's office, do a search, and the search shows that land is clean. Whereas there are some crooked people who have actually manipulated the records for purposes of ensuring that they con somebody out of their money. So as an advocate, you would be thinking that you're doing due diligence and you have documents from the land's office, but then you might be duped. And again, what you need to do is go beyond the search itself before you make a purchase, so that you extend the range of your due diligence. Like for instance, go and look for the maps of the area showing the land which you're purchasing. Go talk to the neighbors of the land. Find out about the history of the land before you purchase it. Sometimes people make very hasty decisions. You see a parcel of land, maybe it's the price is attractive, and you want to buy it like yesterday, only to realize that you made a mistake. Yeah.
And okay, and now we'll be getting actually even to the details of actually the processes that one is in a position to follow. But very quickly, what are the basic laws pertaining to land acquisition and land purchase?
Of course, we have the set of the land laws which we have. We have the Land Act, we have the Land Registration Act, we have the Community Land Act, we have the Land Control Board, the Land Control Act. Those are some of the acts which govern the acquisition of land, because land is registered under the Land Registration Act. We also have the Survey Act, which governs how land is surveyed. So those pieces of law are spread in those acts which I have mentioned. And when you talk about those, when you talk about those particular areas, how are they in terms of being elaborate for the purposes maybe of a layman being in a position to understand? Okay. Number one, every land is registered, and it is registered under the Land Registration Act. Formerly, the land registration under the Land Registration Act. So the first thing is every title is registered, and it's registered under that Act of Parliament. So the next question that you ask yourself is this title legit? Is it legal? That is where you begin. So land has to be registered, and then you have to do due diligence and see how that registration was procured. Yeah.
Talking about, and I know you've really mentioned about the importance of doing due diligence, and that is where we have now people saying, yes, when I went maybe to purchase this particular land, I followed all these particular steps, I followed all these particular procedures, but at the end of the day, I've suffered loss. How clear is the process and the issues involved in doing the due diligence?
They're a little bit complicated. As I said, the search is very simple. You go to Land's office with a copy of the title, a copy of the ID, and a copy of the PIN of the purchaser, of the vendor. That will enable you to do a search to show who is the registered owner of that property. Right. So that is the beginning point. So what courts have said recently is that you need to go beyond the paper title. Yeah, find out the history of the land. Okay. Yeah.
And when you are doing these, what are the provisions other than just maybe finding out doing the paperwork, the paper title? What are some of the provisions? What does it entail? Maybe going beyond these, and how is that particular process also supported in terms of the legal aspect of it?
Okay, it depends on the kind of land you are looking at. For instance, if I'm buying land from you, I'll need to know how did you acquire this land? Were you allocated by the government? Did you buy it? Who did you buy it from? I'm trying to get the history of the land. That's what I mean by going beyond the paper title. And as I mentioned earlier, go and look at the maps. Yeah, see whether that particular land is on the survey map. You can even go deeper. Go to Survey of Kenya and see how that survey was done, or the subdivision, because all those records are there. Then visit the land. Talk to the neighbors. Neighbors know each other. Yeah. They'll tell you, this land belongs to so and so. Then once you are satisfied, then you can now start the process of getting into a sale agreement. Yeah.
And when you're doing this particular process of actually even doing this, even before now you begin the sale agreement, what is the purpose, or what would be the contribution maybe of having a legal personnel, maybe for example like a lawyer?
Oh, it is very, very important. Okay. I wouldn't advise any person to get into a land transaction without involving a lawyer. Because what is happening currently is that we have brokers, we have surveyors who have actually taken over the work of lawyers. And that is how many people end up being conned. This is a man who sells land, and you trust him, he tells you the title is clean, only to realize that you have been conned. Yeah. But if you involve a lawyer and he does his job very well, chances are that you will minimize that risk of being conned. Yeah.
To having that particular lawyer would be very important. Now, when it comes to, because this is another area that I think so many Kenyans have actually maybe been affected, especially looking at maybe a family land, what do you think needs to be done? Maybe when looking at maybe one wanting to buy a portion of land, maybe from not necessarily a land belonging to an individual, but a family. And maybe where there could be some members of the family maybe purporting that they can actually sell that particular portion.
Number one, I don't think there is anything like family land. Okay. Yeah, land either belongs to an individual, or is community land, or is public land. So even if I have my family, if the title is registered in my name, that is my land. Yeah.
Okay.
All you can say is maybe ancestral land. Yeah. Maybe that is what you are calling family land.
Ancestral.
It's ancestral land.
Wow.
But it must be registered in somebody's name.
Then and if it is registered in somebody's name, does that also mean that that particular individual can do whatever they want to do?
Technically, yes. If it is my land, I am registered, I can sell it. But of course, there are some conditions which have to be fulfilled.
Yes.
Like if you are married and the property is a matrimonial, you must seek consent of your spouse before you sell. But not necessarily the consent of your children. No. The law only protects the spouse.
The spouse?
Yes.
Okay, the children have nothing to do.
No. It's like you can't force your father to give you land, or you can't stop him from selling land if he wants to. Wow. Of course, we've had cases where people have argued that you can't sell ancestral land. Some of those decisions are now in the Court of Appeal. We want to see what the Court of Appeal will say. I think there's one decision which said that you can't sell ancestral land.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there is one. And that actually brings to me the question, what happens maybe when we have some of these laws being maybe reviewed? Is it something? Is it a normal occurrence whereby now we can have these laws pertaining to land being reviewed, maybe after a particular period of time?
Yeah, like the current laws which we have were reviewed, I think, in 2012.
2012.
Yes.
Okay.
That is after the promulgation of the new constitution. All those laws were consolidated into the 3 acts. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that basically also means that we could have we could have issues that maybe were looked into in a different way before the law was reviewed, and maybe the way they are looked at now. Yeah,
we even had an amendment in 2016 regarding evictions. How do you evict somebody? There's an amendment which was done in 2016. Yeah. So the laws are reviewed continually, depending on change of circumstances.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we'll come back with more, Wakili, and you'll also help us also to be able to know maybe what are some of the measures, or what are some of those punitive measures that maybe can actually make one to be implicated when maybe, or one can suffer when they're implicated in some of these land laws. Remember, you're still watching the Legal Tuesday right here with Wakili Wilfred Konosi. I want to take a short breather at this juncture. Don't go far away. We're coming back with much more.
MBCI Television.
Is the world of compassion and care at Goshen Medical and Technical College's School of Nursing and Health Sciences. Our school offers a variety of programs tailored to your heartfelt calling. Whether you aspire to be a Kenyan registered community health nurse, specialize in perioperative theatre technology, promote well-being with community and nutrition, provide guidance with clinical counseling, manage health records and IT, or strengthen your foundation in essential subjects, our programs are here to guide your path. Our programs are accredited by NEC and CDAC and Nursing Council of Kenya. A minimum grade of C- or higher is required for diploma courses, D plain or higher for certificate courses, and D and below for artisan courses. We also offer bridging classes for English, Kiswahili, Biology, Mathematics, Chemistry, and Physics, allowing you to choose the path that fits your career aspirations. Visit our campus today or call us at 0750 264 044 or 0723 047 468. For more information, check out our website at www.goshencollege.ac.ke.
Welcome to Goshen Medical and Technical College, Yay!
Welcome to Achievers Group of Schools, where every child is encouraged to dream, learn and achieve. With a dedicated campus for boys, girls and junior secondary school students, we believe in providing a tailored and focused learning environment for every child. What sets us apart is our commitment to instill strong Christian values in our students. We understand that each child is unique, thus every student receives personalized attention and feedback, and we nurture their potential to help them become the best version of themselves. In addition to academics, our school offers a wide range of extracurricular activities, including digital skill training, swimming, chess and many more. And the best part, Achievers Group of Schools is affordable for all families, with fees set at just 25,000 Kenya shillings per term. Quality education doesn't have to break the bank. To secure your child's sport, reach us out to us today. Text us or WhatsApp or call us at 0712 847 061 or 0723 281 262, or send us an email at achievers.school.ke@gmail.com. Located a few kilometers from Chuka University, opposite Rubate Teachers College.
We are accepting both boys and girls. Intake is ongoing, so don't miss out.
Achievers Groups of Schools, embracing excellence and honor.
Nakuru, a city brimming with opportunities, is set to witness a remarkable transformation. Vision Africa Circle Limited is proud to present Vision Africa Plaza, an iconic landmark that will redefine the city's skyline. The magnificent commercial complex will not only elevate Nakuru's business landscape, but also offer an exceptional investment opportunity for visionary individuals. Vision Africa Circle Limited invites you to become a shareholder of Vision Africa Plaza and reap the rewards of a thriving investment. With 3 attractive share packages: gold at 100,000 Kenya shillings, silver at 50,000 Kenya shillings, and bronze at 10,000 Kenya shillings. Enjoy a guaranteed 15% return on your investment, ensuring your money works for you and generates substantial returns. Investing in Vision Africa Plaza is more than just a financial decision. It's an opportunity to be a part of Nakuru's growth and contribute to the city's future. Seize this extraordinary opportunity today. Contact Vision Africa Circle Limited and become a shareholder of Vision Africa Plaza. Vision Africa Circle Limited, pamoja twashinda.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Welcome back to the program, The Legal Tuesday. We are glad you're still having us, and thank you so much for making time to be with us, of course, being the very, very first show for year 2024. And of course, we've started with a very, very significant or relevant discussion or a topic on the laws regarding to land acquisition or land purchase in Kenya. And of course, as we started, Wakili had already told us that land is an emotive subject, especially in this particular country. And I know we've had cases, we've seen cases, even very, very lately, we've seen the cases surrounding the Kirima land in Nairobi. So this is a very, very complex subject, and it is important for you to be in a position to know what are some of the important measures that you need to take into perspectives when you're thinking about purchasing a bit or a portion of land. On set is Okili Wilfred Konosi, But before we continue with this particular conversation, we have our reporter who also went to the streets and also got some opinions from Kenyans on what they think about this particular discussion. And my director is telling me we can now have that particular segment. Then we'll come back with the other round of this particular conversation.
Jambo la kwanza kuhusu mambo ya ununuzi wa mashamba na kuuza, kitu cha muhimu ni kujua ya kwamba shamba haliwezi kuwa lako kama halina title deed. Ndio usije ukapoteza uwekezaji wako na ukaingia katika wakora ambao watakudanganya ili upoteze pesa zako. Kitu cha kwanza ni kujua mwenye kuuza shamba ni nani, na unafanya utafiti kamili kujua kama iko na stakabadhi muhimu, na ukiona ya kwamba haina, ni vizuri usiingie katika shida, unaiondokea, kwa sababu kuna the protocol ambayo imewekwa ya kutaka kuchunguza na kujua kama ni halali ama si halali. Kwa hivyo usiwe na tamaa. Jambo la kwanza, usiwe na haraka. Jambo la pili, wewe kama ni mtu ambaye ameoa, lazima uhusishe bibi yako, asije akajua ulinunua shamba pengine mahali angetaka. Na hata kama ikifika ni mahali pa kuuza, wewe mwenyewe lazima uwahusishe jamii yako kama unataka kununua ama unataka kuuza, ndio muweze kupata baraka kwa pamoja. Na ninajua hauwezi kuingia katika upotovu wakati unapofuata ushauri ambao unafaa.
Changamoto ziko kwa sababu sana unakuta kuna mabrokers. So wakati unaenda kununua shamba, hakikisha ya kwamba unajua mwenyewe hasa. Ya pili, urudi utafute plan ya hiyo area. Kwa sababu sasa unakuta unauziwa ploti, unaambiwa ploti iko karibu na barabara, unarudi kustoka ploti iko kwa wanyama, imepakana na game. So unaona sasa hapo ni changamoto. So la watu wawe waangalifu.
Kama yangu nimenunua penye tulinunua, title bado ni ngumu. Wana nini na allotment, nini huko ni palipa allotment bado. So kama mimi bado sije process hiyo title, so bado niko na allotment. Sasa unapata hiyo sehemu, unaambiwa sijui shamba ilikuwa ya nani, ilikuwa hizi mashamba za familia, hizi schemes, hizi mashamba kubwa. So tena kufuatilia title deed ikuagi rahisi. So kama mimi nikiulizwa, naweza kataka serikali ingilie kati sehemu kama hizo zenye kama mimi nilinunua. At least ukikatioka kitu, tuache kufuatilia inaitwa mother title. Tuache kufuatilia hiyo mother title, ati sasa mpaka nifuatane na wale wanipe namba ndio niende kwa lands, ndio unaona ni process refu. Na nilinunua kitambo, sije process, bado niko na allotment. Na unaona ingekuwa njia rahisi wakati ule, sasa ningekuwa na title. Angalia tena title imepanda. Wakati ule ilikuwa naitisho 20, sasa naitisho ngapi? 40. Sasa ni 40. Unaona nikitoboa saizi nitakaka.
Sasa wakati wa kununua shamba na kuuza, kulingana na ile pesa utumizi wake, naweza kuwa na pesa nimeuza shamba. Hiyo pesa, ile njia ambayo nitakuwa naitumia ndio italeta hizo changamoto. Mtapata ya kwamba hii pesa naanza kuitumia njia zingine, labda za kutumia peke yangu, na kunywa nayo pombe nje, na kuwa nayo raha nje, na hawa watu sasa wanaanza kuleta malalamishi. Hapo itafanya mpaka waanze kukosana na wazazi na watoto na familia yako kwa nyumba. Ule mwenye umenua naye anachukua, kumbe hiyo shamba aliuzia mtu mwingine. Ama kama bado unatafuta pesa za kuenda kuchukua hati miliki, naye tena ameita mwingine nauza shamba na yashakula pesa zako. Hiyo mambo inaleta hata ama unatafutiwa kifo, ukufe utoke kwa hiyo shamba na uliinunua ushapeana pesa, ibakie wenyewe. Sasa ama wengine wanakuletea tu watu sasa kuanza kupeleka hivi, wengine wanaleta urogi ili utoke katika hilo shamba liwabakie. Hizo ndio changamoto huwa katika shamba kama umenunua.
Iwapo udongo ama shamba limeuzwa, utaona kwamba changamoto ni hivi: yule aliyekuuzia labda alikuuzia shamba lisilo lake, Sasa na wewe ushanunua, sasa inapofika mahali na kupata hati miliki, inakuwa kwamba huyu jamaa aidha akugeuke, na asipokugeuka tena hataki kukurudishia pesa. Sasa wewe unakuwa sasa unaonekana unakuwa na changamoto kama zile ya kupata ile shamba likawa genuine. Haiwezi kuwa genuine bila hicho cheti cha hati miliki. Na sababu ni nini? Yule aliyekuuzia labda halikuwa lake. Unaona? Ama labda lilikuwa ni la familia, naye katika ule ubinafsi akaona naye auze bila kushirikisha wenzake katika familia. Inakuwa pia ni changamoto wakati unataka sasa kuli-own kama shamba lako.
Ukitaka kununua shamba, lazima utafute kujua. Kwanza lazima ucheck area ambayo unataka kununua shamba. Ya pili, lazima ujue shamba ambalo unanunua ni shamba alili ambaye hakuna mtu ambaye hajauziwa shamba hiyo. Lazima utafute hiyo. Na kutafuta hiyo, hali ya kutafuta hiyo, lazima uende kwa Ministry of Lands, utafute search. Ukiona search iko kwa jina ya huyo ambaye anataka kuuzia, umeona na green card yake, then ujue hiyo shamba ni halali. Na lazima ukuwe na witnesses. Usinunue shamba bila witnesses.
Very well. Those are some of the Kenyans talking about or giving their opinions in as far as laws pertaining to land acquisition and land purchase is concerned. And of course, you can, or at least you've been in a position to see what Kenyans also think about this particular subject. And you'll agree with me also as our viewer that Kenyans also know, and they are very, very much conversant and aware that this is a very complex subject, and so many people have suffered, so many people have been frustrated, others actually even going to depression because of the damage they encountered in relation or in the process of land acquisition and land purchase. We want to get further with our discussion, and we're also inviting your feedback on the same. Remember, our feedback platform are wide open on our Facebook page, that is MBCI TV, or our YouTube page, that is MBCI TV official, and for those interested in the shortcut platform 23814, you can be sure we'll appreciate your feedback on the same. Karibu tena wakili on this other round of this particular discussion. You've heard and seen how Kenyans are also contributing to this particular subject, and maybe if we can just pick a few points, wakili, so that I can also get your reflections on the same. Talking about this particular matter on the mother title. And there is one of those Kenyans that were interviewed there and saying that this is maybe where sometimes we have a problem when someone maybe wants to purchase, and maybe they are being, or maybe when there is now a tussle, they are being asked maybe to go for the mother title of a particular portion of land. So that basically means the other titles that maybe they had gotten doesn't really, or maybe doesn't really count. What do you think of this?
Let me say this. When you own land, it has one title.
Yes.
If you want to subdivide it,
right,
of course you go through the processes of subdividing land, get the approvals, do a mutation or a deed plan. It is approved, and then you register it, and then the mother title is surrendered, and you get new titles. What happens normally is that people are in a hurry to purchase land. For instance, I have subdivided my land. You can see the portions, but the titles are not ready. So you identify a portion and maybe take possession. Then it takes me maybe 2-3 years before I can surrender the mother title, so that we can get individual titles. That is where we have a problem. The other way of getting into this kind of a problem is when we talk about cooperative societies.
Okay.
Yeah, a cooperative society will buy a big chunk of land, yeah, and it has shareholders. So depending on the shares which you have, you'll be told, okay, according to your shares, you are entitled to 5 acres and a plot somewhere. The property is surveyed, But then it takes a very, very, very long time to process those individual titles. And I think that is the case of that lady. She might have bought property from a society. Maybe the land was a big chunk of land, and that society has not been able to process the individual titles. So that takes a long time to process. Yeah.
So what therefore would be the right thing to do? Do you first of all wait until maybe the individual titles are processed? And is it possible that maybe those individual titles are actually processed before you purchase?
It is normally prudent to wait until all the approvals have been done and the titles are out. Let me pose a question. Suppose you purchase the land and there's a problem with the subdivision. What happens? You are into problems. You are purchasing a property whose subdivision are not gone through. Yeah, so you get into problems. You can, in fact, some people even go ahead and build. Yeah? Yeah. You're told this is your portion, you can enter, you can start development. But if there's a problem, you will be the loser.
Yeah, you'll be the loser.
So my best advice would be, please wait until this process of subdivision is over, the deed plan or the mutation has been registered, and these new plots have been given new numbers which are identifiable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Wakili, in relation to that, because at or in some circumstances, we've seen two parties claiming a particular portion of land, and both of them coming up with the two different title deeds. How does it happen? And actually, maybe some of them even arguing that both title deeds are genuine. Is there a possibility for two different title deeds actually? Or one has to be fake?
No, yes. One has to be illegal,
and the other one illegal,
and the other one has to be illegal. Let me give you an example. In the past, we've had cases where the former Commission of Lands would allocate land. You are given a letter of allotment, you go to the land, survey it, pay, and then it's a process. It takes a long process to process the title. What some other people would come and do, that parcel of land has a file. If somebody has eyed that land and they think it's prime, they'll go and steal that file from Lands Office or open a parallel file, issue another letter of allotment, and then process the title. So when some of these issues now come to court, that's why I said you need to go to the root of that title. Like the example I've given you, if I was the first person who was allocated the land, I must have paid the start premium in good time and taken all those other steps. Yeah? And I can be able to go to court and say, look, I was the first one to be allocated. Here is my letter of allotment. I paid so much on these dates. This other person who came and paid later, that is a fake process, because once the land had been allocated to me and I complied with the conditions of the allocation, then that land was not available for allocation. So you might actually find that those two titles have been issued by the Lands Office. But then one has to be recognized and the other one will not be recognized by following the history of the acquisition.
Now, what happens when you have now an individual who happens now to sell this particular portion of land to more than one particular person?
There we get into a very big problem. And this would normally happen where you don't conclude your process. You see, if I'm buying land from you, if it's 1 acre, we agree the price, say 10, 15 million. We should have a program. By this date, do this. By this date, do this. By this date, transfer the land to me.
Okay.
Normally, the standard period is 90 days. You should complete
the entire process.
Yeah, you should complete your entire process.
90 days. Those are 3 months.
Yeah, within 3 months. You can even do it earlier.
Wow.
So, to be safe as a purchaser, make sure that you follow the process until you have the land transferred to you and you have a title deed. Mm-hmm. The other instances where you can have the land being sold to 2 persons is like the case which we have looked at. I have subdivided the land into plots. I have not procured the individual titles for the plots. So it is possible that a vendor can sell the same plot to 2 persons. Mm. But it is not possible for you to sell land twice so that 2 people have 2 titles. No. What happens is, I sell land to you, I don't transfer to you. Okay. And then somebody else comes and I sell it to him again and maybe transfer to him. Yeah. So it is upon and it is incumbent on the person that is buying to make sure and to follow up on the process that they began. Otherwise, if they don't do that, something might change. Yeah, so if you get yourself in such a situation, this person has taken money from 2 people, he has transferred to the other one. What option do you have? You have to sue him to recover your money. Yeah. And I know later on we'll look at actually the legal redress and how feasible are they, especially maybe when someone has been conned, someone has been robbed, and what does the law say and what is the process like for ensuring that maybe someone can actually be compensated. You'll be telling us about that, but there was also someone else, I think, in that particular Vox Pop. So many people have talked about the issue of the issue of brokers. I think some of the Kenyans actually are saying that we are having a lot of problems because of the issue of brokers. When we talk about these brokers, what do you think these Kenyans are actually talking about? Are these people that are aware about the transactions? Are they people that are involved? Are they people that are in the land ministry? Now, let me tell you how these things begin. If I'm looking for land, you look for these brokers who know who is selling land where. We have them all over here in town. Yeah? And they always know this property is up for sale, maybe it belongs to so and so. And what they do, sometimes they will not even tell you the owner is, unless you have agreed to pay them some commission. Yeah? Okay. Also, these were people with the main intention of making some... Well, they want to make some money. Yeah. So that is where the problem is. So sometimes the broker may not know the history of the land. Yeah? So if a broker tells you this land is up for sale, you need to do your due diligence, the way we have spoken, before you get into any transaction. Wow. So that is the problem with the brokers. Okay. And then I also had this particular question, and someone was raising up the issue of the government apartments that, of course, like the ones that we saw recently, the president launching here in Nakuru. Now, for the people who are going to buy and occupy these houses, is the issue of title deed actually on those apartments, does it really rise? Yeah, rise. It does. They will get their title deeds. Okay. Yeah. we have a law called the Sectional Properties Act, which governs how individuals of apartments get titles. So you own your apartment, you have a title deed, and then the common land, the common spaces, you own it jointly. All the people in that area. All the people living within the common areas, you own them in common. Okay. Like You have your apartment. Maybe you will be given, you'll be allocated one parking slot, yeah. And then there is, of course, the roads and everything. Those are open spaces which you own commonly with all the owners of all the apartments in that whole area. So there's a law which governs how you get your title deed, how you deal with the common places, how you pay for common services, if it's security, if it is water, collection of garbage. So we have laws which which govern that.
Which govern that particular area.
Actually, like even these apartments, you actually have a title which you can go to the bank and get a loan.
Okay.
Yes.
So they are the same. It's like every individual, every occupant in that particular apartment has the same.
Yeah.
Or they're different?
No, every apartment has a title deed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can use it.
Yes, you can. You can.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is very interesting.
Yeah.
And maybe I think finally maybe on that particular bit of the Vox Pop, I think we again had a few Kenyans maybe talking about the importance of maybe ensuring that before one maybe gets into any transaction to be in a position maybe to allow or maybe to ensure that maybe some of the family members are aware. But I think you had put it very rightly that the main party that needs to be made aware of is the spouse.
Yeah, but
failure to which?
That transaction will be nullified by the courts if the spouse challenges the sale. But I think I need to mention something here, especially relating to ancestral land.
Yes.
You know, ancestral land is where people still you know. If you want to sell ancestral land, it is important that you involve your family members. It may not be a legal requirement, but it's important that you involve them, and agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happens in a scenario, or clearly, whereby maybe someone can actually maybe say, or maybe even an example, maybe an ancestral land where maybe they can, they say that maybe they don't have a title deed. Is it really possible for a particular portion of land not to have a title deed?
No, all parcels of land are supposed to have title deeds. But let me tell you what happens. Like my grandfather had a title. Yeah? Say he had 5 sons. And in those old days, he would say, number 1, this is your parcel, number 2, number 3, number 4, with clear boundaries. When he dies, they don't fall up on the issue of succession, so that the title now is transferred from the owner to his sons. It now gets even more complicated when these sons also give portions of their land
to their children.
Yes. You demarcate the land, you know this is my land, this is my boundary, but you don't have the title. The title is in the name of your grandfather who passed away a long time ago.
Now that is the mother title.
Yes, that is the mother title for the entire parcel of land. Yeah. So those are instances where you get into a problem. And I think people need to be advised that if somebody passes away and they had land, they had rather very quickly file succession and make sure that that title is transferred to the beneficiaries. Yeah.
That just reminds me, I know it also now pertains maybe to the laws pertaining to succession.
Yes.
In a situation whereby maybe they die without maybe necessarily having figured out how maybe the succession would actually take place, what happens?
That is where we have a lot of problems. If you saw, I think last year there was a case, there was a ruling which was delivered here in Nakuru, where a broker sold properties belonging to a deceased person. Innocent persons had purchased and built houses, and the court said, no, you have to demolish these houses. this land, there was no authority for you to sell this land. Yeah. Those are some of the issues you get into. I would advise people to be very, very, very careful when you're buying land belonging to a deceased person. Without the grant of letters of administration, you need to be very, very, very careful, because if challenged, that will be nullified by the court. Yeah.
And what happens now if, for example, of course we have the deceased person and they have not actually given direction on maybe how that particular land should actually be managed? How would the law look now? Maybe at maybe the
okay, let me tell you. We have two scenarios. A person can leave a will saying, this is the way I want my properties to be distributed in case of my death. The other scenario, a person may die without a will. We call it dying intestate. Yeah. So in both cases, you need to go to court for an administrator or executor to be appointed. In the case of a will, the executor will carry out the wishes of the deceased person. Give A so much, B so much, C, D, E. In the case of intestate, all the beneficiaries should come together and agree. How do we share this property?
Wow.
And who is going to be the administrator? If you don't agree, the court will decide.
The court will decide.
And say, so and so deck this, so and so deck this, so and so check this. And then if it's land, it will be transferred to the beneficiaries according to either the way you have agreed as beneficiaries or the way the court has ordered. So that way, each of you will get your titles. And that is what people should be doing immediately a person has passed away. So that the issue of these titles staying without being worked on is done away with.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very good, Wakili. We'll pick up from there, but I think at this particular juncture we can also have another segment, and that is on the landmark ruling. And the director is telling me today we'll be focusing on the Ogiek. And of course, when you hear the word Ogiek, of course, we know, and it has been in the limelight for a very long time pertaining to that particular community, and also the aspect of land that belongs to them, and of course what the tussle that has actually been happening between them and also the government. And of course there is a landmark ruling that was done, and of course let us be in a position to look at it, and we'll come back and also maybe discuss something about it.
Kweli kabisa, vile ulisikia hukumu ni kwamba ile imetolewa nyumbani, watu hawana makao, wengine mashule zilifungwa, wakati mwingine watu wengine hawakupata masomo kwa sababu ya kutolewa wakati mrefu sana. So unapata mwaka huu unatolewa, inakaa mwaka 5, wengine mnatolewa since 1934 mpaka leo, wakati ya wazungu na wakati wa tulipopata uhuru.
Sasa mnaishi wapi?
Tunaishi karibu na wengine wanaishi karibu Mao na pembeni za Mao.
So what's the way forward from here?
The way forward sasa ni kwenda kuleta jamii, kuona vile watu tutajipanga, vile tutaendeleza mambo ya reparation, na tuone vile tunaweza fanya kazi, na tutaambia serikali waweze kuheshimu mambo ama hukumu ya kotini.
Nimechelewa kidogo. Nini furaha yako leo kutokana na hukumu ya leo?
Furaha ni kubwa kwa sababu tuko nyumbani, tumerudi nyumbani. Kwa sababu hukumu imekubali kwamba tutarudi nyumbani, na yale yote imesemwa, tunaomba tu serikali iweze kuheshimu ili tuweze kukaa nyumbani bila tatizo lolote, bila kutolewa ofyo na kufukuzwa na kufanywa kama sio watu wa Kenya kamili. Leo tumeambiwa sasa Kenya watu wa recognize kwamba sisi ni indigenous people, sisi ni minorities, na tutarudi na tutakaa nyumbani mwao.
Wakasema tuongee. Tunaongea nini na tayari wamemaliza mambo yao na kusengenya jamii Ogiek. Kitu tunaelewa huko ni kwamba cabinet secretaries ya land Keroda Karonei, mianja mingine. Charles Keter ambao ni ya Inaje walikuwa ndani. Cabinet Secretary for Interior ndio Matiang'i akasema ya kwamba serikali hii jukumu yote imetolewa na serikali ya juu. Kwa hivyo hiyo malilio yenu ambao mnasema hatuwezi kutekeleza hivyo, sisi tutapea nyinyi mashamba eka 5 ambao mpaka saa hii tunakataa. Tunakataa kwa sababu hatutaki lugha yetu ipotee, hatutaki culture yetu ama utamaduni yetu ipotee, hatutaki kabisa. Tena kuna mambo ambao yametuzunguka Mau, ya kwamba tukipewa mashamba tunasungukwa, na mara ya mwisho vita ikitokea jamii Okiek wanafurushwa. Kwa hivyo tunataka kitu ambao tulishinda katika African Court ambao ni community land, ili tuweze kulinda shamba yetu, makao yetu, na sisi tumekaa sehemu hiyo ya Mau, Eastern Mau, kutoka mahali iko na si kutoka Sururu mpaka Marioshoni. Kama serikali inasema hii ni settlement scheme na sisi tulishinda community land, kwa nini wanakuja kutusumbua na kusema ya kwamba tutapea nyinyi mashamba eka 5? Mpaka saa hii tunakataa na tunakataa. Afadhali hata tuende tufanye IDP camp, kwa sababu hii si haki. Jamii zingine wako na mashamba, jamii zingine wako kama ni Kipsigis, wako na Bomet, wako na Kericho, wako na Bureti, na wote wamekuja ndio wanaandikiwa mashamba pale. Mpaka sisi jamii Okiek tumehofia kabisa. Kwa hivyo tunataka haki itendeke. Sisi hatutayumbishwa, sisi hatutaki kupelekwa jinsi serikali inavyotaka. Tunaomba Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Honorable President, aite jamii Okiek na waelezea kama hawaelewi sheria ya koti ya kwamba hii lugha imeandikwa kwa kesi, waite wale wataalamu, kwa sababu haikusema eka 5. Alisema community land ndio tuliitisha ili tuweze kujichunga na kuchunga watu yetu kama community. Tuko jamii 22 clans, na kila clan ina uwezo na utaratibu ya kuweza kuchunga msitu mpaka mali inafikia.
There you go. Of course, the Ogiek land matter, the Ogiek land issue, and I know so many Kenyans are actually aware about this particular matter. Of course, it has hit the headlines for a very, very long period of time. For so many years, we've had the Ogiek going into court and the case dilly-dally. Let's just get the perspectives of Wakili. What exactly has been happening as far as the Ogiek land issue is concerned?
You see, the Ogiek community claim that they have lived in Eastern Mau from time immemorial.
Okay.
And that there are about 20 or 30,000 of them. Then
this has actually been an issue pitting them against the government?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometime in 2009, Kenya Forest Services said, move out of forest land within 30 days.
Yes.
Then some 2 NGOs made a complaint to the African Commission on Human Rights. The Commission referred the complaint to the African Courts on Human and People's Rights.
Yes.
The case was heard, and a judgment was given in 2017, where the court found out that the Kenyan government had violated the rights of the Ogiek community, and they ought not to have been expelled from their ancestral land. Very interesting finding by that court was that the judges also recognized that the evictions rendered it impossible for the Ogieks to continue their religious practices, which are all linked to religious rights. Now, an interesting development last year, in June last year, the court ordered, the African Court on Human and People's Rights, ordered the Kenyan government to compensate the Ogiek. And
the entire community?
Yes. And I liked the old man who was talking there. I think he had followed the case, and he knew exactly what he was talking about. The other thing is, their complaint is that they have not been recognized as an indigenous community. And that's why you heard him saying you want the government to recognize them. So that is a very brief summary of
the Ogiek. So that matter
Ogiek
has now been settled.
Well, it hasn't.
When we have a court, the African court making such a judgment or giving out that kind of a ruling?
Having a judgment is one thing, and complying with what the judgment said is another.
Is another thing.
Yes. You can have a judgment on paper, and the government refuses to
comply.
Yes. You can see the first judgment was in 2017.
Sure.
6-7 years down the line, that is when now they have been ordered to pay compensation. But at least I think one day the Ogiek will get justice.
And Wakili, in your own analysis, in your own perspective, do you think that the main issue was because of them being in the forest? For example, maybe if they would have been in another place, would it have been an issue? And is that case unique to only the Ogiek community, or we've had other?
No, it is unique to the Ogiek community. If they were not in the forest, that would have not been an issue. But they're saying, look, this is where we have lived all through. Where were you? Yeah. And where do you want us to go?
Do you think the government had any kind of justification? Is there any harm? From where you sit, Wakili, is there any harm that this particular community was actually causing in terms of them being in that particular place or in that particular area in the forest, so to speak?
I don't think so. Because if you look at the destruction of the Mao, it was not done by the Ogiek.
Okay.
No. These are people who were logging trees. Yeah. The Ogiek were not cutting down trees. So I think the government wanted to evict the Ogiek in the guise of saying we want to protect the Mao forest. Yeah. Because you can actually trace when the destruction of the Mao began. The Ogiek had been there for a very long time, yet they had lived in the forests without destruction of the forests. Yeah.
And actually, I'm just asking myself, Wakili, because you've rightly put it that they went to the African court. What was the process like? For example, in a manner like that, did the NGOs maybe begin with the courts in Kenya, or for such a scenario, you go to how does it work?
No, the case I know began in Kenya, but I don't think there was...
So it is a matter of being appealed to the African court?
Not appealed. You see, this is a violation of the rights of indigenous persons. Okay. So Kenya being a member of the African Union, anybody can file a case with the African Court on Human and People's Rights. Yeah. So because Kenya is a member, you can actually file that case directly there. And that is why it is taken as a landmark ruling.
That's right. Because it's like we've actually signed to that particular African Union.
No, we are members of the African Union.
Sure.
Yeah, so we have to give in to the jurisdiction of the court. Yeah.
What the court says.
Yeah.
And maybe just one more on that particular area, because we know this is a community that's saying, of course, it's an indigenous community. When we are looking at an issue like this, can we really say there are other matters that maybe override or maybe supersede the legal perspectives?
You see, if the government wanted to deal with the Ogiek, and you saw that the old man saying, no, we don't want, as you people telling us you will give us 5 acres. They said no. They want to stay in their indigenous place where they have been staying. Of course, the land has, the government has powers of compulsory land acquisition, but then you must compensate the persons. So if the government had a very good plan, they would have said, okay, we want to move you from this place, settle you in another place, in a way which is acceptable to them. Yeah.
Wow.
That is the way it should have been done. Yeah.
And when you look at a case like this, so when the court was actually giving this kind of a ruling, what is like the package of this particular ruling, and maybe the parties? What are some of the maybe different aspects, like maybe the expenses that different parties can actually incur in such a scenario?
No, like in this case, I think the NGO paid the costs of litigation. Yeah. And of course, they won.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the government on the other side, it also had its...
Yeah, it had its legal persons representing the government. Of course, the Attorney General being the main person. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't have the details of the compensation, but what I know for sure is that the government has been ordered to compensate the Ogiek.
The Ogiek?
Yes.
That is for now in this particular case,
for violating their rights.
Violating their right.
Yes.
But they had not necessarily been evicted.
No, they're still. I think they're still on. They're still on the land. I think some were evicted.
Yeah.
Some are there.
Oh, some are there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So, Wakili, maybe now we can also look now at. We had talked about the legal redress. Maybe what does the law say? And I think this is something that so many people maybe have actually felt maybe disappointed, or maybe, for example, it is a situation whereby you've bought a piece of land only for you maybe to be told that someone else had bought, and maybe the initial person that had actually bought is the one that, even according maybe to law, is the one who is actually justified or legally justified to actually be the original or the verified occupant of that particular land. Now, for the one that did not manage, or maybe for the one that now did not actually have the opportunity to be the rightful owner of that particular piece of land, even though they had actually used and spent their money, what does the law say in terms of them being compensated?
Let me begin by saying that you look at this case on its own merits. Not two cases will be exactly the same. Let me begin with where a person has sold land to two persons. Okay. Yeah. And then one gets the title. So if you were earlier and you didn't get the title, you can either challenge that sale and say, no, I had paid this man early. He had no right to sell it to a second person. Number two, you can seek an alternative prayer that you be refunded the money you paid and any damages which you have suffered as a result of this person selling the parcel of land twice. When it comes to the issue of double allocation, if you realize that there is double allocation and you are not part of the fraud, then you can sue the government and say, look, why were you allocating me land which you already know had been allocated? But I'll tell you for sure that the cases of double allocation, the person who is being allocated the second time knows what they are doing, that they are doing it fraudulently. Yeah. So you can't even go and sue the government. When you are the one who went and colluded with the lands officials, hid the genuine file, opened another file, got another allotment. Yeah. Again, for those, cases like those, you can go to court and say, look, I was allocated first, and declare me the owner. Yeah. So you'll be declared the owner, and this other person who made the title fraudulently, of course, loses. Yeah. Okay. Because if the court says you got the land fraudulently, you can't go back and tell the government, give me money. The best you can get maybe is a refund of the stamp premium which you paid. Yeah.
So for the party that maybe is incriminated or implicated in this particular crime, so we have options legally, either to compensate. Is there any other punitive measures? For example, can one also be actually be sentenced for such a particular
yes,
offense?
we have offenses like obtaining registration of land fraudulently. Okay. Yeah, that is a criminal case. Yeah, a criminal offense. If you are found guilty, the law will take its course. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Wakili, what are therefore under what circumstances would the court maybe ask the parties to sort this particular matter out of court? What would be the parameters?
Well, these days the courts, of course, encourage parties settling matters outside court, because the advantage of settling matters out of court is that it's the two of us who have a problem, and it's the two of us who want to agree how we want to deal with it. When you leave the matter to the court, one has to succeed and another one has to lose. Yes. So the courts will normally give you a chance so that you discuss yourself and have a win-win situation. Yeah. Of course, there are cases which the court may not refer to mediation. Okay. There's a way the cases are screened and say, okay, it's a good case which can go for mediation. Go and see if you can sort out your problems. Once you agree, come and tell us you have agreed. Yeah. And then we'll record what you have agreed.
Maybe like, for example, a scenario whereby maybe the court would not allow for the opportunity of mediation?
Especially where there is a criminal offense involved, the court may not encourage the issue of mediation. Yeah.
So that is a scenario whereby they have to follow the full course of the course of the law. Yeah. Looking at an example like the Kirima land issue, and whereby we've had the occupants of that particular land, even though the court actually asked them to settle the issue with the Kirima family out of court, but they've been crying foul that the kind of money or the kind of money that the family wants them actually to pay is way maybe beyond their effort or their ability, what happens in such a scenario? Would the issue be reverted back to court?
No. The court has already ruled. The land belongs to the criminal. Move out or be evicted. Or negotiate with the family, pay them, and then they will allow you to stay where you are. The court has already said that you are occupying this land illegally.
Illegally, yeah. And it has given you an opportunity to go in.
So, but it's telling you, if you people agree, you sort it out, you don't have to be evicted, fair enough.
Okay. So in that particular case, it's like now you are left under the mercy of
the winner.
Of the winner.
Yes.
And you have to do as maybe the winner. Yeah. Now, what about in terms of what do you think the length of maybe the process of a case involving land matters?
It depends. About cases which have taken a year, 2, others take long. I've seen cases which take up to 30 years.
30 years?
Yes. Okay, let me give you a scenario of how this begins. We are very crooked litigants. I know I don't have a case, but I'm on the land. So what I'll do, I'll use all means to make sure that I delay the hearing of the case. If judgment is given against you, you appeal, even if you know you do not have a good appeal. It takes another 5 years. So those are the kind of problems which we have. But I think the courts are addressing them, are saying cases must be heard expeditiously so that you know where you stand. You can imagine somebody's on my land wrongfully, and he stays there for 20 years. Finally, after 20 years, I win the case. How much damage would I have suffered?
Yes.
20
years. And that basically means at a time like that, the court would have actually given an injunction that there is nothing that you can do on that particular land. You cannot develop that particular land.
The court normally says status quo, but if you are in and you are utilizing the land, you will continue utilizing the land. To my detriment.
and by the way, okay, on the same note, if you had actually developed the land, you had actually done a lot of projects in that particular land, only for the court maybe to rule against you, now the person that you had purchased, only maybe to be found that you had not followed the due diligence. It doesn't really matter whatever it is that you've done in that particular.
No, I gave you the case of Mungata, where the court said people have built multi-million mansions there. The court said, bring them down. So unless, of course, they go back and negotiate with the owner and pay more money.
Otherwise, everything else will have to come down.
Now,
maybe as we come to the conclusion, what do you think, therefore, would be the significance of maybe the measures that now, maybe, for example, are being brought in the land ministry, the digitization maybe of some of the systems involving maybe the processing of title deeds and other very crucial documents pertaining to land?
The digitization of titles has begun actually from Nairobi, where you register your land on what we call Artisasa. That is the digitization. And the good thing with that is that even when somebody is doing a search on your property, you will know. The system will alert you that somebody is doing a search and you allow. That will minimize cases of fraud. Of course, technology has its own challenges. But I think digitization has more benefits than problems. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. it has more benefits.
Yes.
Yeah. And when you're talking about the benefits of digitization, because maybe one of the things that you had actually talked about is a scenario whereby maybe we are finding some of these very crucial documents pertaining maybe to some of these processes, they get lost, and this would really help.
Yeah.
In terms of following up on them.
Yeah, because once your title has been verified, they scan it, it is on the record. So it will be very difficult for somebody to falsify that record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I know there are different the different areas. Maybe one more bit that Wakili, we've also had a lot of challenges is actually the encroachment of maybe what we can actually call public land. And I think we've had so many Kenyans, others are community members of the community actually crying foul about maybe different individuals or maybe some different figures coming and encroaching maybe on a public land. Some of them could actually be schools, some of them could actually be hospitals, others even actually saying maybe roads and other infrastructure.
There was one interesting case about the issue of encroachment of public land. Cooperative society purchased a big chunk of land. Before they subdivided it into their members, one of the conditions was that surrender a few portions to serve as public utility plots for school, for markets, so those plots were set aside. What did these scrupulous people do? They went to Nairobi and asked the Commission of Land to allocate them the land. So the matter ended up in court. And the court ruled, no, this land belonged to the cooperative society. They were surrendered for a particular purpose. They were not available for allocation to a private person. So if there is evidence that this is a public land, there is a way of getting it back, and that is the work of EACC. The
Ethics and Corruption Commission.
Yes, there are so many cases in court where they are challenging the allocation of land to private individuals. They have won many cases, and that land has reverted back to the government.
That basically means that most of these cases have the issue of corruption being at the center stage of how these particular properties are actually.
Yeah, what do you call it? Like where there's somebody who has been allocated and another one makes the file disappear, opens another one and processes it. That's corruption. Yeah. That is the bottom line. Yeah.
That's actually sheer corruption.
Yeah.
And when it comes also, maybe just in a minute as we come to the conclusion, Wakili, when it comes now to the systems, when the issue of corruption now comes in, how does the legal procedure comes out?
You see, the commissioner can investigate on its own.
Yeah.
A person can report. The commission's mandate is very, very, very wide in recovering public land, yeah, or public assets.
Or public assets.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
So whichever way they get the information, they'll get down to it, get to the bottom of it. If they think they have a good case,
wow,
they just file it and let the court decide.
Let the court decide.
Yeah.
Wow, that was very insightful. We really want to appreciate Wakili Wilfred Konosi. Thank you so much for making time to be with us.
Thank you very much.
On this very maiden show for this particular year, 2024.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And we also want to appreciate you, our dear viewer, for also making time to be with us. It's been a rigorous conversation. It has actually been a very fascinating conversation. And of course, we know, and it is something that you've seen, especially in our country, quite a number of people, and actually so many people, have actually found themselves having been disappointed, having been frustrated when it came to the process of acquiring land, when it comes to the process of actually purchasing land in the country, and so many of them also losing money in their millions, because when it comes to this particular matter, we know it is a lifetime. It is a lifetime project. It is a lifetime investment, and so this is why we had this particular show for you today, to just give you information that will help you to make the right decision when it comes to purchasing and also acquiring land. Thank you so much, and on behalf of the entire team, the entire crew that has made this particular show a success, we want to wish you a blessed afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. My name is Mangicho Mola.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.